It's Sunday night, and you know what that means. Another fresh, delivered, free of charge, Slashily Ever After podcast featuring myself, Runningman, the king of horror ASIM, horror himbo, horror movie guy, and the beautiful...
Jesus Brittany.
Jesus Brittanyza.
Hi.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. Hey.
And special guests.
Oh, yeah.
Dahlia.
I got a kitty again. So she has been obsessed with sitting in my lap, whether I'm streaming, gaming, recording a podcast, literally anything. She's got to be in the lab. It's fine. It's fine. We're fine. Yeah. So we're back.
Yeah. Took us a little while because we wanted to get another mic. And that took forever.
Yeah. So we got another mic, which got delayed. And then we got the mic. And then there was some real life stuff that happened. And then now, actually, we're going to need you guys to let us know how everything sounds because this is our first attempt using Rode Connect to record the podcast and doing some audio matching. So crossing fingers that it goes smoothly. But, you know, it's when you homebrew a podcast and you're a self-made 100 Air on Twitch, you learn a few tricks here and there. And I'm hoping that some of that stuff pays off, but we're going to continue to try and improve the quality of the podcast, try and improve the quality of the streams. But yeah, for now, we have a lot to catch up on. So we wrapped up for the most part January. We missed one movie in January, correct?
Oh, yes, yeah. So one movie that we're not going to be able to talk about for the podcast because it was a limited release, so you can't stream it yet. But we finished out all of January, so we'll talk about that today.
Yeah.
So and then we got a jump start on February, even though February is almost over.
Yeah, we know February is almost over. Again, we promise we're going to speed run these things. We're going to get through all the movies, we promise. And then, of course, in typical us fashion, we threw a couple of random movies in there that we just wanted to watch. Yeah. So that kind of takes us off the list a little bit. But, you know, we're going to just, instead of sitting here and yapping, we got a lot of movies to talk about. So we're going to get right into...
Yeah.
That was the right scene.
Yay. You make it bigger.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, and on the podcast. Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about something else. Anyways, first film we watched this back on, what, January 21st?
So it came out January 21st. We watched it a little more recently than that. It was one of the last movies we caught up on, but it was earlier released. So it was a straight to internet, not limited, not theaters. And it was funny. We went in expecting something totally different than what we got. So I actually got the letterboxed synopsis. And I like it better than IMDb. Okay. I think I'll probably start using it. But that's what we have. So it has like their tagline. So the tagline is "Revenge cuts deep."
Okay. All right. And the synopsis?
Abby and her friends attend a frat party, but it turns into a nightmare when they are drugged and hunted for sport. As Abby escapes, a mysterious couple arrives, and they're ready to turn the tables on the predators.
Okay, so I didn't know anything when we started it.
We didn't know any of that.
We knew it was called Bystanders, and then I think the synopsis on IMDb was returning from a wedding, a couple runs into some people and some things.
It's
it was
totally
like
different.
It was very like, okay. So my expectations for this were like in the cellar. I'm like, okay, we're just going to watch. And this movie actually ended up being really, really good. Really fun, really funny.
I wasn't expecting a horror comedy, but like looking at the poster, it totally makes sense now.
Yeah, it turned into a horror comedy, right? You know, and then I'll tell you this much: you're not going to recognize anybody in the movie, but they were all fantastic. Like very funny, It was like the opposite of pretentious. I feel like it was like it very much didn't take itself super seriously, but it wasn't a joke of a movie either. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to really. It was
a horror comedy that did it right. You know?
Yeah. They didn't try too hard to be scary. They didn't try too hard to be funny. It was just it was all very subtle humor, my style of humor for sure. And again, the twist is really good.
Yeah, it's a good twist.
Yeah. So.
I would rate it in the same kind of level as Getaway. If you liked Getaway.
Yep. If you liked Getaway, you'll love
Bystanders.
Yeah, I agree completely. So W movie.
Yeah. And it's on Prime right now for $4.99.
Yeah, Prime Video.
To rent.
You're welcome, Bezos. All right, next up was another banger.
Into the Deep.
Deep.
I think of all these movies, this is the first one we actually watched. And it's started off me into my shark era. I like only watch shark videos on TikTok now.
Yeah, she's obsessed. She ordered like a shark bracelet. Like,
I get to track a shark. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so I'm a sucker for a shark movie. Always, I talk about a lot. Creature features are like my favorite genre. And sharks are specifically something big. I mean, I grew up on Deep Blue Sea, and Jaws is like one of my all-time favorite movies ever. So anytime a shark movie is on the table, that's what I'm going to be pushing for. Like, let's watch this. So of course, this is the first movie we watched because we went through the list, and I'm like, shark movie,
Shark
locked
movie.
in. So we watched it.
So apparently it was a limited release as well. It was released on the internet and a limited release at the same time. Whether it was like actually in theaters though, I don't know. I don't think I saw anything.
No shot this film made it into a movie theater anywhere. Like,
so it was $6.99 to rent on Prime, and the tagline: "Underwater, no one can hear you scream."
Yeah,
sounds pretty sick.
Yeah, and of course, reprising his fame from Jaws, Richard Dreyfuss was in this movie.
Oh yeah,
it was.
Forgot about him. Anyway, so divers searching for sunken treasure witness the murder of drug dealers by modern-day pirates, but a killer great white is determined not to let any of them escape its waters. So the shark's not actually the villain in this movie.
The villain was inside of us the whole time.
The real villain is real people.
Yeah, it was. This movie was awful.
It was pretty bad.
It was awful. Like, let's just be real. The fact that they got Richard, like, they had to have spent the entire budget on Richard Dreyfuss.
On him.
And like, I don't think he comes that expensive these days. So that's giving you an idea what kind of budget they were working with. It's just like, it's the most cliche film. Like, there's just every character was a cliche. The sharks, the graphics,
the CGI was so bad.
This looked like it was made on an iMac. Like some it was like the final for a 11th grade multimedia class. It was like, oh, let's put the shark in here. So that the dialogue was so lame. The
acting was so bad.
Villain was so lame. The acting was bad. The CGI was bad. The concept's been done better. It's just, but hey, it's a shark movie.
Yeah, sharks are cool.
So 10 out of 10, right?
Yep.
We enjoyed watching it.
We definitely liked it.
I won't watch it again.
No.
But I did enjoy the one watch, and I would tell you to watch at your risk.
It is an R-rated film, by the way.
For
and I
some
think it's
reason.
probably for the violence.
Yeah, well, this looks like the kind of movie that could have been on network television. Like, none of the violence was that I can remember. I guess I'm trying to remember. There's also this problem of this and Under Paris, which we watched this month, blurring together too.
I remember this was so bad. So it was like a kid like learning how to do movies. So it would be like these spots of red, and you would see like a picture of a shark, like. Do you remember?
Yeah, of course I remember.
So it's like, here's someone swimming. Here's a picture of a shark eating, and then there's just blood to cover it up. It was so bad.
Yeah. So again, it's available. Is it still available, or is this limited?
It's on Prime.
Okay, so it's on Prime.
Yeah, we rented it on Prime because we couldn't find it. Like, we weren't gonna go to the movies to watch this anyways. But it's on Prime to rent.
Man, I'm glad I didn't spend $30 to watch this in the theater. Woo. But hey, I'm glad I watched it for $7 at home. So yeah, Into the Deep.
Could you imagine like those awful graphics on like a big screen?
Oh yeah, it would have been even worse. But you know what? If you're dying for a shark film, this one's only $7.
Yeah, I'd watch this one for free. I wouldn't recommend paying $7 for it.
I wouldn't pay for it again. I'm glad I did though, for the podcast.
For real, yeah.
All right, next up we've got Grafted.
So Grafted sounded super cool.
Yeah.
Released straight to Shudder on January 24th, and the tagline is "Beauty is only skin deep."
Yeah.
Yeah, so when an awkward but brilliant Chinese student wins a scholarship into a prestigious New Zealand university, she finds a new way of achieving the popularity she craves one bloody body at a time, which I don't think she was doing it for popularity. I figured everything she was doing was like, well, now this happened, so I got to fix this. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be very vague to not
sort of
spoil
a torture porn in a way. I will say this. I'm really plugged into like social media and horror, and I hear about things, and people were hyping this one up a lot, so my hopes were really high. Mm-hmm. And people were like, "Man, to get a body horror film, this good after The Substance is so crazy." And so again, I guess my expectations were sky high. I was really let down, really disappointed.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, it was kind of boring. Didn't really. I'm not a stickler for a movie being like super believable, but the suspension of disbelief in this one gets to be too much. And again, we don't want to spoil anything, but I feel like if you haven't seen it and you listen to us and then you see it, bear in mind that I said that like this one's a little bit too much for my himbo brain to be like, you mean no one would have noticed? Like, it's just it's really tough for me when like my immersion kind of gets broken by the fact that there's no way that some of the stuff could have gotten pulled off without somebody noticing. And again, I'm not beyond, if you've seen it and you're like screaming at your monitor now, hit me in the comments, hit me on Discord, hit me in the stream. Did I miss something? Did I not get it? I don't know. But I went into this one with sky high expectations, and I came out of it being like, just felt like a flop. Felt like a straight to streaming. It didn't feel any better or worse than a few of the other films. Like Into the Deep, Grafted, probably had about the same like net.
Yeah.
It was a good one watch. But I won't watch it again.
And as someone who doesn't like have movies hyped up for them very often, I just liked the concept of this, and I was still pretty let down as well.
Yeah. I didn't think any of the performances were anything to write home about. I didn't think the twist was very interesting. I don't know, man. Kind of a stinker to me. Could be wrong though. Maybe I have to watch it again. Somebody tell me in the comments if I'm
like
crazy.
a robot right now.
I sound like a robot?
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm realizing I'm actually going through a thing right now because like I'm realizing that I don't think I liked many of the movies we watched this time. Like,
yeah, so
we're gonna keep on talking about.
There was two or three movies that I think you'll like. Two of them were not released this year.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is that like
I feel like horror movies are slow to start in the beginning of the year. Like I couldn't remember a time a movie came out in January, February, and I was like, yeah, that was a great movie.
I thought Companion was great. I really liked Companion.
Oh, that's true.
And
it was fine.
The thing is, we have big movies on this list, and then I'm telling you that I'm overwhelmingly disappointed with this list. So, anyway, strap in for the most
Zombie Strain.
I wouldn't say I was disappointed by this one because I had no expectations.
We had no expectations, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a zombie apocalypse and weed.
Yeah, it's just like a stoner comedy. It's a stoner horror comedy, low budget.
So,
synopsis.
This movie was at film festivals first, so it actually was like created and like released in 2023, end of the year, but it wasn't like released to the public until January 24th.
Needed some time to cook.
It also claims to be a limited release as well, but I could not imagine this movie being in any theater. But it's $6.99 on Prime. And I don't think we read anything. We didn't read a synopsis going into this.
Nope.
You really don't need one. But during the zombie apocalypse, survivors trapped in a soundstage make an amazing discovery about a potent strain of marijuana. But tensions rise, mistakes are made, and they start to wonder, who's more dangerous, the undead or each other?
What if I told you that synopsis is full of shit?
That synopsis sounds so much better than the actual
It's a
movie.
liar. That synopsis is a liar. And again, spoiler free, but nothing that they said in that is true. Okay, like
I mean, it was on a soundstage.
Yeah, and
it's a zombie apocalypse.
And there is.
That's it.
You're gonna be screaming at your TV the entire film. I swear, because that synopsis sounds like what it should have been, and then in the film.
That's not
it's
what
like
happened.
They lost track of that, and instead they were just like, "What if we did some stoner jokes? And what if we did some of the worst zombies of all?" Anyway, it's awful.
So
it's fun.
bad. Do you think they were trying, or do you think?
No, I think. Well, I honestly think that it wasn't satire, but it's bad enough that you could think it was satire.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that it was. I think that they were trying to make a horror comedy, and what they made was a joke. It's like a satire. But the thing is, it wasn't. It's so hard to do these without spoilers. Like the old Naked Gun, 33 and a Third, like the satire, the really spoofy movies. Mm-hmm. It could have been one of those, and that might have actually saved it. But
yeah,
I think they really were dead ass like telling a story, and it's just bad. It's funny. I enjoyed it.
It was fine.
If you like weed, have some and then watch it. I'm sure it's much better that way.
Probably.
But it was just, it was just a shovelware stoner comedy. And then again, if they had just followed that synopsis, it could have been good, but they didn't, so it was bad.
Yep.
The end.
The end.
All right, next up.
Freelance.
Okay.
So I was excited about this one.
Me too.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say next up.
Yeah. So reading the synopsis, I was super excited about this one. So Freelance came out January 28th, straight to streaming. So it's $7.99 on Prime because it's brand new, I guess.
New release.
It's not Paranorman. It's not paranoia if it's real. When a down-on-her-luck video editor takes on a mysterious, well-paying job cutting snuff films, she is haunted by visions of the people in her videos. I didn't really get like the paranormal part of this.
I think that, yeah, she was having like, again, without spoilers, she was having like very vivid nightmares and seeing things in her apartment and stuff. Like I do recall the paranormal paranoia, like kind of, it wasn't a focus area, but I think it was like a subtle thing.
Yeah.
I will say that the synopsis sounded great. I had low expectations and then it actually blew me away.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was really solid.
I went
yeah.
into it ignoring that paranormal paranoia part. I can't talk
You're
today.
doing terrific. Keep it up.
But I went in like thinking of it more as like true crime.
Yeah,
kinda
it was
thing.
definitely a true crimey type movie. And again, it was just good. The main character was very good. Supporting cast was very good. Concept was very good. Twist was a little predictable, but it didn't matter because it doesn't end up how you think it's going to end up. So, or at least maybe with me, I shouldn't speak for your experience, your lived experience, but for me, it was like I kind of saw part of the twist coming, but it went a lot harder than I expected it to. Yeah, just start to finish, good film.
I will
Enjoyed it.
say, I don't know if this is like just me not paying attention, but I could not keep up with who any of the dudes were in this movie. There were
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 guys.
There was a guy named Guy.
They're all white guys with like facial hair. So I was like, which one is this?
Yeah, there was a little bit of generic in some of the supporting cast. You're not wrong there, but
Yeah. So it was just hard for me to like remember who's who.
yeah, I didn't have a hard time keeping up. But I remember during the movie you asking about which one was this guy again. Pretty funny. But yeah, all the way solid. Like this was probably, unless I'm forgetting something, this probably was the best movie that we saw in this session, in this set. I liked probably the one I enjoyed the most. Again, part of that could be the expectations were low going in. But I mean, expectations were low for a lot of these movies going in, and then
True. Yeah, because they were the last bit of movies.
yeah, we were getting through the dumpster in January. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Freelance, highly recommend it. Where was it at?
It's on Prime for $7.99. I think it's worth it.
I'd pay $8 to watch it.
Yeah,
brand new.
it's good.
And if you don't want to pay for it, then it'll almost surely end up on like Shudder or one of the other Tubi or something. And definitely, if nothing else, it's worth the time.
Yep.
So definitely check out Freelance. Next we have
The Nighttime World.
The Nighttime World. So listen to this synopsis.
I'm sorry, Dahlia.
Listen to this synopsis and tell me if you think this is a
just
film that we would
Hit
enjoy.
her in the head.
Well, that's what she gets for being in the way.
That was a tiny
dangerous
little bump.
when you're doing
All right,
spooky
so
podcasts.
I have a very like I have a little notebook that I keep with like. Let me show one that's like actually done-ish. I'll show the first page. So it's like it'll have the poster. What is wrong with me?
Nothing. You're doing
The movie and when it came out, like these short little things, a little brief synopsis, and then both of our reviews from Letterboxd. I don't know what else to do in the middle of the space. But anyways, so as I was, Rogue, use code Running Rogue.
Check out,
at
say 20%. Yeah.
So as I was putting together the page for The Nighttime World, I was like, the synopsis makes this movie sound so freaking good.
Well, plus the poster. Okay, first of all, poster eats.
poster's
Look at the
sick.
poster. It eats, right? Like, whoa.
Look at that dress. I didn't realize there were flowers.
She's so cool. It's a vampire chick, and the microphone's got blood, and it's about a horror podcast.
Yeah.
How can this movie fail?
Yeah, so it sounds amazing. So it came out January 28th. This is the last movie of 2025 in January that we're going to talk about. We missed one movie called Round the Decay.
We'll see it, and we'll
see it
follow
eventually.
up, yeah.
So that's the last one in January. So this is our final one to talk about for January. It came out January 28th. It is $5.99 on Prime. Far too much, if you ask me.
$5.99, $5.98 too expensive. But go on.
So The Nighttime World. Experience 4 spine-chilling stories woven into one dark and seductive fantasy. A late-night podcaster reveals his own tales of horror as he is pulled into the unspeakable world of an ominous caller who claims to be a vampire. 4 unique filmmakers knit their harrowing narratives together to create a film of life, death, and resurrection. Doesn't that sound sick?
And I mean, I love an anthology film. Some of my favorites in the world. Like we loved I'm trying to remember the name of the Terrifier ones. All Hallows Eve.
Oh,
All
yeah,
Hallows Eve
yeah.
2. Like they're corny
So-
and cheese, but like they're fun.
This dude's doing a podcast. It's like a radio show because he gets like people that call in, but this person overtakes the phones. It's the only person that's getting through, and she's like threatening to kill somebody. She's threatening whatever. Tell me a story.
She's forcing me to tell her
To tell
stories.
stories. So he tells these stories, and the stories are like filmed. They're so bad. They're so long.
And the first one was so bad, and it was the best one.
And it was the
And
best
like, oh
one.
no, like, okay, well, typically in an anthology, they tend to like build up and get better and better. And so I was like, well, that sucked, but we got 3 more stories to go, and just flop after flop after flop. The acting is abysmal. The concept, it's like, how do you mess up this concept? Again, the trailer and the synopsis sound so good. It's like they used all of their energy to create the synopsis and the poster, and the movie was just absolute dud.
Yeah.
Everything's groan worthy. The stories were boring. The special effects were horrific. The acting was mid.
The acting was awful. I think it's like the worst acting I've ever seen ever.
Yeah, like again, we talked about The Monster Beneath Us being the worst movie we've seen. This, I think, we need an award for the worst movie. We can have a monthly award, a seasonal award, like a yearly award. By far, Nighttime World's the worst movie we've watched.
Yep, thus far.
Of all of them. And like
Thus far.
Again, if it was watch the Nighttime World for free again, or pay $10 to watch The Monsters Beneath Us again, I would watch them. I'd pay the $10 bucks
I would say.
and watch Monster Beneath Us.
Well, while we're on that now, I think we should. I would agree. The Nighttime World is the worst movie that came out. Excuse me, a horror movie that came out in January. Very closely followed up by The Monster Beneath Us. What would you say is the best movie that that came out in January?
Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Yeah, that's
That
a
movie
good
was
one.
so good.
That was a good
I'm
one.
already ecstatic about watching that one when it comes out on streaming. And then of course the Puniverse Assemble movie.
I would say Wolfman's probably my favorite.
Wolfman was so good too. And
Oh,
again,
Presents? How do we forget that one?
yeah. Okay, so like you said, early year bangers have
There
been
were
happening
actually
this
some
year, yeah.
really good movies that
Yeah,
came out,
we've
but
been having-
these straight to internet ones, I'm ready for us to do a straight to internet movie and it just kill it.
I think Freelance was probably the best straight to internet movie we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yep.
I don't think that it killed it. I don't know though. That's a really hard question because like if I really dig in, and find out what I would change about it, I don't know. For a straight to internet indie film, it's just about perfect.
Yeah, it's
know?
really good. Like going in, especially I don't know if it was like after watching everything so bad, we were like
Finally.
very little to live up to. But yeah, I think Freelance was the best indie movie we've watched.
Like best.
Of January. Yeah.
Best. For sure. And Nighttime World again, worst movie I think it's the worst movie we've talked about on the podcast. It's the worst movie that we watched this year. Just again, I'm one of those people that feels like even if it's the worst, I want to see it to experience it. You don't need to see this to experience it. Like literally let me tell you what happens in 15 minutes and save the rest of your day. It's so bad.
There's nothing.
Everyone who worked on it should keep it off their resume. You should be ashamed. Like I wasn't a part of that.
So then we wrapped up January. So then we threw in some movies that were not new movies. So again, I was on my Shark
Somebody's
era.
on Shark Week over
And
here.
Doug was like, let's watch Under Paris.
So when Under Paris first released, this was last June. Like I told you guys, I'm a big shark movie guy. And so when it came, was it last June or the June before? I feel like it was
2024.
Was it really?
Yep.
Time is so slow and then goes by so fast. I was very excited about this film because it's like a ridiculous concept. So again, you read the synopsis
Yeah,
and we'll
so-
talk more.
I don't know if there was like a language barrier for this or if I just don't understand it, but the tagline says, watch out before swim.
Watch out before swim. Solid advice. I'd say solid advice. No, I always watch out before swim.
So, in order to save Paris from an international bloodbath, a grieving scientist is forced to face her tragic past when a giant shark appears in the
the Seine.
Seine. The Seine. It's a river under Paris.
River, yeah, under Paris, like the thing
Like
says.
in and under, in and throughout.
So again, if you're aware of the layout of Paris, that's all fresh water in the Seine and sharks, great white sharks. Which it turns out this is a mako. I thought it was a great white because traditionally the great white is who you use in these films, but they used a mako, and a mako can't survive in fresh water. So it's like, okay, so right off the rip, we're talking about, which of course they do explain in the film how that works. There was a lot of, I think a lot of, what is the word? They took a lot of liberties with science in this film. There was some scientific phenomena.
The sharks are adapting because of global warming.
Exactly. So global warming is causing these sharks to be able to...
Which I'm sure is going to be a thing, but it's not going to happen that fast.
Yeah. The amount of...
or to the extreme.
I don't think a Mako shark's going to turn into fucking Terminator because of global warming. It just takes a lot of generations for that to happen.
Yeah.
But anyways, this one was great for what it was, which was a really ridiculous... Again, I'm not complaining about suspension of disbelief in this movie because it was ridiculous, but it was fun. It was fun. I really liked it. Yeah, I did too.
It's better than Into the Deep.
Yeah. Oh, by far. This one's like the meg levels of unrealistic, but it also is like a lovable film. The characters were fun. The acting was pretty decent. Of course, I think that foreign films get away with acting a little bit more because
it's hard for us to know if someone's a bad actor.
Exactly,
because
it's subtitled. They're speaking French, so I don't know.
I mean,
for sure,
it seemed fine to me.
Seemed good to me. I liked the way it was casted.
I do remember. I'm sorry. Do you want?
No, please.
Okay.
No, I was looking at you like intent to hear what you had to say, not cursing you.
Not like a backhand.
Violence.
Oh, I don't know what I was gonna say though.
I scared you. You got jumpy. I was like, wow. Yeah. No, so I just enjoyed. I enjoyed it. It was a fun movie. Like
I remember now.
Let's go.
So it was so funny. This film, the way it was filmed for 2024. It looked like it was filmed for like 2012 because the kill scenes are straight up like we have 3D cameras.
Yeah.
So it's like a person is thrown up into the air and the shark catches it. Yeah. Like, and you see it from like looking down. It's so like it would have been so good in 3D, I bet.
Yeah, I think so. And you can forgive a lot in that because again, we complained a little bit earlier about how bad the graphics were, the CGI was in Into the Deep. You get away with that if your movie's fun and if you're entertained and we're having a good time. And this was like a work night movie and we were like having a good time. You know, typically a work night movie, you get that. It's a work night, but you know we still had a great time. I would rewatch.
Yep, I'd pay to watch it.
It's fun. I would definitely pay to watch it, and you don't have to because it's on Netflix. So this one comes with the Slashily Ever After 1.5 thumbs up because it's fun. It's good. We kind of that's 3 thumbs up. Maybe 2 halves. How many thumbs do we need? No, I'm just kidding. So just if you got Netflix and you're looking for a romp,
watch it
because you're not going to be disappointed. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they told me to watch this, but it's fun and I enjoyed it. And I will probably end up when we're talking about doing a shark episode, we'll rewatch it because it'll be fun.
Yep.
To talk about.
We won't rewatch Into the Deep.
No,
but we will rewatch Under Paris.
We might leave Into the Deep out just to not sully the list. So, but Under Paris, we will rewatch. So that's a lot of fun. So W Under Paris, W Sharks. All right, here we go. Now we're talking. So we started getting excited. We had an issue with the microphone. We were going to record a Valentine's Day episode. And so we watched some Valentine's Day horror movies to like try and be like, hey, we're going to do a whole episode. And we ended up not being able to do the episode. But thanks to that, I finally talked her into watching Lisa Frankenstein. I've been trying for a long time to get her to watch this one. And so take it away. Tell them about Lisa Frankenstein.
Lisa Frankenstein is a PG-13 horror movie, which I think is very important to note.
Yeah.
It was released February 9th of last year, 2024, and it was a theatrical release. It's got one of the Sprouse brothers in it, so Cole Sprouse. So already has a pretty decent budget. If you can't meet your perfect boyfriend, make him.
Yeah.
It's a tagline.
Yeah.
In 1989, a misunderstood teenager has a high school crush who just happens to be a handsome corpse. After a set, sorry, there's an exclamation point, so I had to
corpse.
Corpse. After a set of playfully horrific circumstances bring him back to life, the two embark on a murderous journey to find love, happiness, and a few missing body parts along the way.
Yeah, so this one, I was very excited to see it. And through the first maybe 30 to 40% of the film, I was thinking like, uh-oh. But this one cranks it to 11 out of nowhere. And then it's a banger, in my opinion. I thought it started a little slow. And I thought it was going to be kind of cheese. It's a PG-13 horror movie, which she's going to talk a lot about why it shouldn't have been. And I think that it would have actually been helped out by an R rating. because I think they could have gone even a little bit more hard because they went pretty hard for a PG-13 horror movie. And again, it's like a horror comedy, horror romance type thing. Like, so I think the R rating could have helped it out a lot.
Yeah.
I do, because again,
and not even to be raunchy, just a teeny tiny bit more.
A little bit more dark.
Yeah.
Because it was already so dark. Like, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I don't see how this was a PG-13 horror movie.
Yeah.
Because it was brutal.
Yeah.
It was gnarly. And again, this, I think, I'll let you take it away, but I think my short synopsis on it is, it's not only visual stuff that should make a movie rated R. Because, like, there isn't a bunch of brutality and gore, but there were themes and things.
It was the implications that made it
PG-13. Exactly. And I think that, and then I think that, maybe emotionally this is a rated R movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of...
Hopefully a lot of... You would say the things would go over people's heads, but people are smart. Teenagers are smart. You can't fool them. So I saw this on the poster. It's written by someone named Diablo Cody. I wonder if that's his birth name.
No idea.
Or his wrestling name.
I know this is Zelda Williams' directorial debut, wasn't it? That's Robin Williams' daughter.
Is it? I don't know.
If it's not her debut, she was the one who directed it for sure.
So this movie is definitely very teenagery. It's set in late 80s. It's very fun, very funny. Teenagers do teenager things. There's a lot of hormones in there. We were all teenagers. We all know what happens. But having a adult man write a movie about what's happening to a teenager, I think is really gross.
Yeah.
There's some things that happen in there that you don't see anything, but again, the implications, and you know what's happening. Like, it made me feel very icky.
Yeah.
That this was geared towards children.
It's adult themes being acted out by children.
Yeah.
And that...
But the actors aren't children. They're adults. But they're portraying teenagers. And the things that are happening are things that teenagers most likely do, but an adult is not supposed to be in that mix.
In that equation,
And so thinking about a male adult or an adult woman, an adult person wrote this, and I'm like, I don't like that. It makes you feel very gross, especially with all the things. There was like a documentary that came out last year about all the stuff that was happening behind the scenes on like Nickelodeon's sets.
Yep.
And it just made me think about that, and I was like, it just made me feel very icky. So if I go in thinking it's a rated R movie, loved it. Very good.
Yeah.
It should have been rated R.
Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion.
I agree. But
it's a good movie. I think you should watch it.
And I didn't,
very fun.
I didn't get the ick, so to speak. Obviously I can agree with you that adult themes played out in a high school setting, not the move, but that didn't make it bad for me. I enjoyed the film. And I don't know,
maybe that's just the woman in me.
It could be. And you guys can watch the film and come to your own determination. But
yeah, I might just be looking at it way too harsh too. I don't know. But
yeah, it's a fair take.
My opinion.
It's a fair take. And we don't disagree often. So, you might as well once in a while.
But I'm curious to know if anyone that's watched it, how they feel, if they didn't even think about it or if they thought about that now that I've put it in your mind.
See, I didn't think about it until you brought it up afterwards. It's more like, this is kind of like a rom-com. Because it is. The problem is that it's like a rated R dark rom-com, but they're high schoolers. Mm-hmm. And he's not a high schooler, is he? Like, I think he's older.
Well, I mean, he's like Edward Cullen age, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But yeah, for him to be attracted to a high schooler and he's a dead man.
Yeah, you guys make your own determination and your own discernment, but I would agree. In retrospect, this would have been a much better college-themed rom-com type thing rather than a high school rom-com. Because high school rom-coms, again, call us old-fashioned, but probably shouldn't theme out the way that this one ended up theming out. So,
very good though. You should watch it.
Very fun movie. I enjoyed it. All right. Next up, we've got
Hard Eyes.
Smash Hollywood box office success.
Was it?
Hard Eyes, yeah, it did very well.
R-rated film, so great start there. Hour 37 minutes and released February 7th. Excuse me. Apparently there's two taglines. So this says romance is dead and then the other one is no couple is safe. When the Hard Eyes killer strikes Seattle, ooh, we got a lot to say about that. Strikes Seattle, a pair of coworkers pulling overtime on Valentine's Day are mistaken for a couple by the elusive couple hunting killer. Now they must spend the most romantic night of their year running for their lives.
Okay, so Hard Eyes came with a lot of hype. I wanted to love it so bad. And I'll tell you that I had to look it up as I was doing my phone. Mason Gooding was the lead actor, and then
He was so fun.
Olivia Holt was the main actress. Both of them were phenomenal.
both did
They
great.
just were terrific, and you couldn't have casted them better. And so we come in, and it's got that whole. It's obviously supposed to be a fun movie, and even the opening sequence with it's got a lot of like it's just silly. It's dark and it's brutal, and I think I already am ready to watch it again with a more open perspective, but something about it didn't hit for me. I just felt like the story was a little paint by numbers, and the gags were a little they were fine. The kills were good. It was exciting. People were like, "Oh, we finally get an iconic mask." I didn't think the mask was iconic. I didn't think that anyone will remember. I think that you will be struggling to remember anything specific about the film after watching it. It just kind of felt like, and again, I've used the phrase already on this podcast, but like a little shovelware. Like it was just like you put into Grok AI, like make me a rom-com slasher, and then this is what it spewed out. That's what it felt like to me. And again, I'll say it again, Mason Gooding, phenomenal. He made me laugh out loud more than once. And I really don't think that the script was doing that. I think that it was his portrayal, it was his acting that like he really sold it. I also noticed Devon Sawa was in the film. I literally missed him. And Devon Sawa was who I kept seeing on social media, like gassing the movie up and hyping it up. I didn't even realize it was him until after the fact. So that was kind of a flop for me. I thought that the twist, quote unquote twist, the ending was kind of a flop. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just being too harsh, but I wasn't impressed. And I wanted to be. Like, I went into this one, like, again, I went into Thanksgiving last year wanting to be impressed, and I was impressed. And I went into this one wanting to be impressed, and I was let down. So I think that Thanksgiving follows kind of a similar, it's not a rom-com, but it's like a similar, like, holiday themed fun
Comedy
slasher,
horror,
comedy
yeah.
slasher, like fun slasher, like Scream.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to replicate Scream, where it's not a horror, not a strict horror comedy, but it's like got that fun, sort of aloof
This
sort
was
of
almost
vibe.
trying too hard to be funny.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was
It
trying
was
too hard.
fine.
To be,
I feel like I say every movie's fine, but it was fine. I would watch it again. I wouldn't pay movie
No.
theater prices to watch
I wouldn't
it
even pay.
again.
I wouldn't even pay to rent it again. I would watch it if it was on streaming,
Yeah.
just to give it a second go. But like,
It was like $5 to rent on Prime.
I don't know if I'd even want to spend $5 to
Really?
rent it. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that we could do better for free, or I could just
Okay.
watch it Thanksgiving again, or I could just go watch, Bystanders again. I don't know,
Yeah.
which isn't the same, but it's
It was
just
fine to me. I think you were probably more let down because you had it hyped up. I had nothing. I'd had nothing going into this.
yeah. It could be my
Sorry.
curse. I spend all my time on the internet, and I'm always reading horror media, and I'm always listening to podcasts and streaming and talking to other horror nuts about streaming. We all were really excited for Hard Eyes, and I'm not the only one, though. I've had a few other friends that were let down. I've had some people that really liked it. So it might be one of those hit or miss types. And if you like it, you'll like it. I would love to hear more. Again, if I'm wrong and crazy and I missed something, the comments, man, I read them all. I would love to hear about it. But for right now, I'm going to mark this as kind of a dud.
Yeah, and it was very hard, like the suspension of disbelief for us as people who live very near Seattle.
Yeah, we're in like North Seattle.
So-
and like when they had a scene at the airport, and it's like there are palm trees at that airport, man.
Yeah,
Like,
so
that's not
there's
Seattle.
Palm trees at the airport where you're parking. Also, the parking is not in a garage, which is not how it is. Like
Yeah.
you can't just walk up to the airport. You're in the parking garage.
Yeah.
And then there's a scene where they're outside having drinks outside on a rooftop I think it's a rooftop in
Yeah.
Seattle, and I'm like,
And it's in February.
there's no
And,
way.
like,
And they're wearing like normal clothes, not
Yeah.
like short sleeves,
Yeah.
like long
Yeah,
sleeves, but
like-
not sweater long sleeves.
Like right after we watched the movie, we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and we needed to load up like we were going to fucking
It was
Antarctica.
snowing.
It was snowing, and we're like, what were these people drinking Mai Tais on a rooftop in Seattle? Again, these are all minor. It's gonna affect one small.
It's gonna affect
days.
only the people in Washington watching.
Nobody
this
else
movie,
really cared,
still.
but still, for us, it's like, come on, have a little respect.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Have a little respect. But overall, it's a fun watch.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't pay to rewatch it, but knowing what I know now, I would pay to watch it for the first time again. I am glad that I saw it and I had fun with it. It was a good date movie, just because it's themed and we like our themes. But I was disappointed
And
and let down.
your youngest son, I don't know if you wanted to say his name and stuff.
Yeah, Gabe's name's been talked
Gabe.
about. Gabriel.
He went with us. He loved it.
Yeah.
So
he told all of his buddies that it was great, and he said he loved it. And my little sister texted me and was like, "Oh, he said you hated it." I was like, "We didn't hate it.
we
We
didn't hate it.
like
We just
it."
weren't
But
impressed.
he really liked it. So,
but he loved it. Yeah.
again, I think that to each his own, and we just continue to like kind of line up a lot of some of this. We both like Wolfman a lot more than everybody, and we both disliked Hard Eyes about more than everybody. So, and again, we form these opinions on our own and then talk about it. Like
we really don't talk about the movies together that often anymore. We do like a very brief, like, what'd you think? What'd you think? Like as we're walking out, and then we don't really talk about it again until we get on here.
So Hard Eyes was a miss for us. So your mileage may vary. All right, coming up next, wrapping up this episode's films, another highly and widely anticipated theater release, The Monkey.
The Monkey, based off of the short story by Stephen King. R-rated movie, an hour and 38 minutes, so not bad, and was released on Friday, this previous one, the 21st, theatrical release.
Okay.
So I think all the trailers for this are essentially like Red Band trailers, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, even
so the
tagline
has a
swear
curse word in it. Everybody dies, and that's fucked up, is the tagline.
I just realized they say that's fucked up a lot in the movie too. That's like a recurring line in the film, which I don't know. Maybe that's all part of Ozma and his master plan to be smarter than everyone and be like, "Oh, you just didn't get it." But I'm sorry. Go on. Yeah.
So when twin brothers find a mysterious wind-up monkey, a series of outrageous deaths tear the family apart. 25 years later, the monkey begins a new killing spree, forcing the estranged brothers to confront the cursed toy.
Okay. So Osgood, it was 2.5 hours long.
No, an hour and 38.
Sheesh. I was like, that did not feel that long.
That's a very
ugly
one.
I see it now. I see it. All right. So Osgood Perkins, the guy who did Long Legs, right? I don't know if I've talked about this on a podcast before, but I've read some interviews with Oz Perkins, and he comes off to me very pretentious and very self-important. And like, he's this sort of genius when it comes to film, and everybody else is. He made like a disparaging comment about Ty West, saying like he only watches good movies, he doesn't watch Ty West movies, and it kind of rubs me the wrong way. But the thing about it is, this all happened before Long Legs, so that's all fine. I can have my predisposition thinking that he's kind of an egomaniac, and it doesn't stop me from saying Long Legs was one of the very best films that came out last year.
Legs.
One of the best films of the year last year, right? And that was a year with a lot of big movies. And so that doesn't mean I'm going to just automatically discount The Monkey, but I just don't see what the big deal is. I didn't get it, I guess. I got it. I've talked about this quite a bit with one of my pals, but shout out Righteous Earth. But I consider this movie like pretentious Final Destination. And I think that this is a phrase that irritates people in the movie like world, in the entertainment business world, but it's a movie that insists upon itself. It's just so, like, you can just tell it's like talking down to you. Another way I would describe it is that this is a film that a person who thinks that they're better than everyone would create what would normal people think is funny, and then did that. That's how it felt to me. And again, I could be off base here, but it just flopped. It was like, it was kind of boring. It dragged. It seemed like everything story-wise and character-wise was just waiting to get to the next crazy death scene, which can be fun. That's Final Destination, right? We love Final Destination in this house. Those are great movies. But it was like, how did you put it when you said basically like they tried to be like scary but funny, but then didn't do either or something? You had like something really...
Yeah, they were really trying to be a horror comedy, and it was neither of them. And we've been really into horror comedy. I mean, we had two really good ones, Getaway and Bystanders, and so we were super stoked about The Monkey. Yeah. But it wasn't scary, and like the laughs were fine, but it was like they're very like, ha.
Yeah, I mean, I was like forcing myself to laugh out loud. I laughed out loud, but not because I had to. Like when we watched Getaway, I was like laughing my ass off. Like it was so funny, right? And then there was a scene in Hard Eyes that I laughed so hard at. Mason Gooding had like this really good delivery on a scene, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it was so funny. I was like, that's hilarious. I didn't have one moment like that in The Monkey.
Like, you know how like in those parody movies, like the scary movies, like the laughs are funny, and you're like, oh, I get it. But then like as the movies got older and older, they're just not funny. Like the ones that come out now are not funny. That's like how this was. It really wasn't funny.
Yeah, it wasn't. And again, I kind of forced myself to laugh because we watched it yesterday. It was like, we don't go to movies on Saturday nights very often. And we went last night during like prime time. So there was like people in the theater and like, we were having a great day, just like relaxing together yesterday. I had a stream yesterday and then we were in a really good mood.
Yeah.
We were having fun and we were like, ooh, a movie date during prime time. Like this one needs to be good. Like it was almost like it needed to be good. And I was sure it would be good. And so I really leaned into like, this is going to be a fun watch. Let's have fun. And I kind of couldn't. It was fine.
Yeah.
Just painfully average. I mean, I don't know, man. I could rewatch, but I don't know if I want to. I
don't think my opinions would change.
No, I'm digging through it. And I just feel like, and you got Stephen King wrote the story. James Wan directed. Osgood Perkins. Like these are huge names in horror. Like James Wan is your Conjuring, Insidious guy, right? And Osgood Perkins is your Longlegs guy. I don't know, man. This was as much of a sure thing as it's going to be a good movie, and it just was fine. Again, it's doing terrific in the box office. It's getting good reviews. All the hype I'm seeing on Twitter. I mean, and I'm not one of those dudes who's like, oh, they're just buying it. Like I do think that people genuinely enjoy it. Maybe I just didn't get it. Maybe I know I've been saying this a lot today. Maybe I need to be told, like, did I do it wrong? Did I not? What? I don't know. It tried to be shocking and it wasn't that shocking. It wasn't.
The most shocking thing was the guy at the end of the movie had a mullet.
Yeah, he did. And really neat.
That was the most shocking thing.
I think the funniest thing was what he did to his suit. That was actually kind of funny.
That was funny.
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to see more of. It's like subtle humor. Is it Adam Scott?
Yeah, Adam Scott was in it.
He has like a kind of a cameo at the beginning, and
Ben from Parks and Recreation.
It started off pretty good, and again, I was like, okay, yeah, we're cooking.
Yeah,
here.
his stuff was funny.
It just dragged a little bit. It was like I said,
the first scene, like if the whole movie carried the same
energy
as the first scene with Adam Scott and the other dude, it would have been great.
It was, and it just dragged. It's like it starts off as kids. You guys know from the trailer. It just starts off as kids. And then it transitions to adult. When they finally made the transition to the adult phase of it, I was like, that's just now happening? Like, it just felt like it dragged. Long. And again, it was only an hour and 38 minutes. And it dragged. And it was like I said, I just don't think I can sum it up any better than every scene, every dialogue, every moment just felt like it was, I think it could have used more time. Honestly, I know I'm saying it dragged, but like, I think they could have really developed a little bit more. It just felt like it was spinning its wheels until the next big extravagant death scene. And there's Elijah Wood has a cameo.
Oh, I forgot. It's
I know.
So
and
bad.
That's what I'm saying. When I tell you that it needed more time, I mean, like they could have developed that piece of the story.
Yeah,
more.
it was.
Like, that piece of the story
bad.
was just like a side piece to the story.
It adds nothing to the movie.
The ending is weird. It's almost got like, who's the Adam Zissou guy? The Life Aquatic.
Oh.
The director from that.
Oh, Wes Anderson.
It's got kind of some Wes Anderson-esque like meta stuff. It's just, I don't know, man. Again, I just feel like it was. There's one other thing that's super funny. I don't want to spoil it. I'll talk to you about it after the podcast.
It's probably the one thing you laughed out loud at as well, besides the suit.
Maybe.
It was more in the beginning of the movie.
The police thing was really funny.
I don't remember.
Are you a real police officer?
Oh, yeah. That was at the end of the movie.
That's really funny. But again, I guess we could use more of that and less of what the
like
again
those quips, like some
that little scene. If you guys have seen the movie, are you a real police officer was to me the funniest moment in the film. And if they would have done more humor like that, where it's like very subtle, very ridiculous, and less of like what they think normies will think is funny, which is over your head, smash you in the face with comedy, I think it would have done a lot better.
Yeah,
I think if Oz Perkins would have Oz Perkins it rather than try to make a film for normies to laugh out loud at, I think it would have been better. That's, I guess, my final take.
Yeah, if he had tried to do what he did with long legs, it would have been way better.
Yeah. Instead, it just felt like almost like he was like pandering to a dumber audience, but his admittedly dumber audience was like, I see right through this, bro. So, but again, could be wrong. Tell me in the comments. But that wraps up our January list.
And start of February.
And the beginning of our February list. So we got a lot planned for the next week.
We are going to burn through some movies.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. Movies is our thing. We might even watch 1 or 2 tonight. Just
I'm
to
down.
get kicked out. All right. Well, we haven't made plans yet, but now we got plans. So if you guys are not already subscribed on the YouTube, following the Twitter of SlashlyCast,
And the Instagram.
Yeah.
Slashily Ever After.
Slashily Ever After, yeah. TikTok, yeah. Runningman TikTok, yeah. Runningman Instagram, yeah. All the stuff. Make sure you're following, subscribing everywhere.
Like,
Comment. I will respond to every comment. If I miss it, and comment again, and I'll respond twice. But yeah, we've been kind of busy lately. We're getting things locked in now. So look forward to piping hot, fresh episodes on Sunday nights. We'll be talking about a lot. We'll be talking about a little. We'll be talking about everything in between. But on that note,
they live Slashily Ever After.
they did.
Oh my God, it looks like I'm holding her by her neck. I promise she's happy.
Bye. Bye.